We're going to talk about Jesus and the January blues.
That way of thinking can become automatic, and it can be retrained.
Hello there. You're listening to the Girl Talk podcast. My name is Carol.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Tricia.
And we're so glad you've joined us today. We're going to talk about Jesus and the January blues in that order.
Yay, that's good.
Because I think that even though you love Jesus, the January blues can still sneak in. So let's talk about what we mean by January blues. Why do you think it's easy to kind of slip into a funk in January in the holiday doldrums? Why do you think that is?
I think there's so much excitement in the month of December. You know,
Right.
you've got Christmas parties, and you've got presents to unwrap, and you've got family and friends, and you've got food, and you've got all this, you know, high energy, high excitement stuff. And then in January is like dull weather.
All the bills come
and
due.
the bills come due.
Yeah.
You're digesting all the cheese. There's so much cheese to
took
digest.
us in a different direction than I was
But
thinking.
it's true.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
All
but
the cheese.
Gross.
But there is, I agree with you. It is the letdown of the fun, and you don't have the things to look forward to. I also think the weather plays a part in
Sure,
it. It just feels
absolutely.
dark and long, and you just don't have that much to look forward to, right?
Yeah.
Unless you look
Unless you really-
beyond.
Right,
Yeah.
and around here with the weather, we get like cold, but no snow in January.
Yeah.
Usually, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
the fun.
Again, not something to look forward
yeah,
to.
nothing
It's
to
just
look forward
cold.
to. Right. Yeah.
So maybe that's part of it, I think.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of sad. Wah wah.
I think the whole temperature of households change when you take the Christmas tree down. Everybody's kind of like,
Yeah. There's less
Oh,
lights.
it's over.
There's less joy.
Yeah.
There's just
It's a visual representation of what we go through emotionally.
yeah,
Like, oh,
yeah.
there's the void there. You
Right.
don't even have your couch isn't back where it used to be.
That's right.
It's like, oh, there's a hole there.
and there's probably still some pine needles all over your floor.
Absolutely, there are.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
So-
water stains.
Yeah. So, how do you keep yourself out of that January slump? What are some things that have worked for you gals that you say, you know what, this is something I turn to in January and kind of put on my calendar so that I can not be in the doldrums?
I think one thing we can do is leave our Christmas tree up a lot longer.
Okay.
You know, I hate taking down the Christmas tree.
I do
I
too.
really love,
Yeah.
like Tricia said, I really love the beauty of it. I want it to just stay up as long as possible, especially the one with the colored lights that brings in all the warmth and the color into the house. I will leave that up as long as I can. So that's my number one vote.
Okay, so something has happened to me this year because I, in years past, have been no Christmas tree till the day after Thanksgiving. And this year I put it up early. One of the reasons was I had people at my house coming for Thanksgiving. I wanted to be up for Thanksgiving. But I never do it. I'm always like, no, we're going to wait till after Thanksgiving. This year I put it up early. And I'm usually, the day after Christmas, I'm jerking it down and putting it away because I'm ready to move on, right? So I'm not opposed to the idea. I'm just saying that this year, if it stays up longer, it's more likely this year because everything's changed for me. I don't know what it is.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That is okay. That is your prerogative.
Yeah.
To put it up, leave it up, keep it up, whatever you need to do, right?
Yeah. And I know people that there are people that I know that they say it makes me so happy to just sit and look at the Christmas tree. And I'm one of those people too. I like the quiet and the like after everything's kind of died down, put on some like nice Christmas music, maybe instrumental, and just sit there and have a unrushed cup of coffee and just look at the Christmas tree. So I'm not opposed to it.
Russian tea, even better.
Even
this time of
Russian
year.
tea,
I like
yeah.
that.
That too.
Finally can drink
Yeah.
Russian tea
Yeah.
again.
I can
Or hot
smell that
chocolate.
even thinking about it.
Yeah.
I think hoping for something. I think having something to look forward to. I'm bad for every time I finish a vacation, I have to think about the next one.
Yeah.
So I don't go down like in a hole. I think about what is there something to look forward to, and that might be like for us, we're going to go on a trip to go visit my aunt. She turns 80.
Wow.
So we're going to go visit her,
Yeah.
and that's going to be later this month. So I'm excited about that, having something to look forward to. And I don't feel like that's a distracting thing. I think it's just something an emotional thing to look forward to. So I think that's a good idea. I've also done things like signed up for a race or some kind of an athletic thing.
Yeah.
So that gets me geared up towards training, working out, getting healthy, because it's hard to get to the gym when it's cold and it's dark. So if you sign up for something, and that may be a 5K in spring, or it may be just something with a friend that you work out, but if you kind of commit to something, that helps forward momentum take over.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Does the new year help y'all with that at all? I mean, do you look forward with hope and anticipation, or are you one that's like, oh no, another year? I mean, because I think some people are like that. I talked to, I have this one gal in my life group, and she's like, oh, don't talk about the new year. I'm like, really? Why? Because I mean, for me, I've always looked at it as it's hopeful and it's
fresh.
a fresh new year, and I get a new blank journal.
Yes.
Yeah. All the things, right?
Right.
And she just doesn't look forward to it. She said, I feel like January is my month of failures.
Ooh, ouch.
I think that way of thinking can become automatic, and it can be retrained.
Okay, talk to me about that.
Well, because yes, I look forward to the new year. I have hope for the new year. I like to get my new planner, like you talked about, and it has that place where you can draw, or you come up with your verse for the year, and so that to me is really exciting. But I've had to cultivate that way of thinking. That doesn't come naturally to kind of be excited and be hopeful.
Yeah,
we have to do what God says and renew our minds with verses and promises and thoughts of His goodness and hope for the new year and hope for good things.
Yeah.
If we don't do that, we can fall into that automatic negative thinking. And so if that's something that you do, kind of an automatic negative thing, I've done it too, but your brain can be retrained.
Yeah. So I think one of the things, as you were just talking about that, is I typically save some of my vacation time for the holidays so that I can and I think probably one of the things that now that I see her way of thinking is you get some time off during the holidays and then you're just right back in it. It's like the new year starts and bang,
nose to the
the
grindstone,
gunfires, and it's like, I just got to get through this next event. Because, I mean, I feel like this year in particular, this past year, I was just living for the next thing. Like, I couldn't look too far ahead. I was just trying to make it to the next thing on the calendar, whatever that was. But I can see how if you especially get some time off during the holidays, you can dread the start of the schedule when everything gets back to normal.
Back to normal.
Come
I
January.
think one of the interesting things she said was that it's a year, like it's all of her failures is what she's focusing on in January. And I think it's important for us to do some heart work at the end of the year, some reflection on what's gone on, but that reflection has to be intentional, and it's got to include some gratitude,
right?
Looking backward on your life on the last year and saying, hey, these are the things I'm thankful for, can help you go into the new year in a good frame of reference, as opposed to focusing on the failures,
right?
Because there's going to be failures. There's always failures. So it's a lot of and there's a lot of things to be grateful for too. So a lot of successes. So it's all on how what we choose to put our mind on will determine a lot of where our mind stays.
Right. I think one of the questions that has been so helpful for me, because y'all know I love hard questions, and one of the questions that has been so helpful for me is to take maybe half a day at the end of the year, because I do take some extended time off, and take maybe half a day and just reflect upon the last year and go, how am I different from this time last year?
Ooh, that's good.
That's so healthy.
Yeah, and this time next year, who do I want to be?
Oh, I like that.
Oh, yeah, that's so
carving
good.
out an intention.
Right. It helps me frame those, because I go back to this book a lot because it's really helped me, Atomic Habits. He talks about how goals are no good if you don't have the habits in place to get you to that goal. So one of the things that I try to do is I just set an intention at the first of the year. I'm going to exercise 45 times a quarter. So, if you look at me and go, how many times have you exercised this quarter? I don't have any idea right now. But what I do is in my daily planner, I write down exercise. And by just the simple act of writing it down holds me accountable to do it. And so the first thing I do when I get home from work, before I do anything else. Well, I take the dogs out first. Then after I get the dogs taken care of, I come back in the house and I put my tennis shoes on, because that for me is the sticky wicket. Yeah. If I don't put my tennis shoes on, if I sit down on the couch or I don't change out of my work clothes into workout clothes, then I'm not going to exercise. But if I do that, one thing I've noticed about myself, that helps me to get a success. And I think so many of our goals, especially in my generation, have been health and fitness related or weight related. And the year I decided that's not going to be my goal anymore, because I've been a yo-yo dieter since before the yo-yo. I mean, really.
That's a long time the yo-yo was.
I know, but it's
older
true.
than you.
It is true. And when I stopped focusing on a number and started focusing on habits, like, okay, so you overdid it during the holidays and you didn't work out, or you did a lot of cheese. We keep coming back to that, right?
Sorry, that's me.
But if you know that about yourself, give yourself grace in that. Say, I'm just going to enjoy the holidays. And then on X day, or I'm going to finish a big meal and I'm going to go for a walk. I mean, just the little things, the little decisions. I've stopped. I won't say I don't make New Year's resolutions, but I don't call them that anymore, because that, like my friend, she just automatically assumes that she's going to fail with whatever it is. But he says in the book Atomic Habits that the reason that we don't meet our goals is because we just set a goal out there somewhere and we have no plan to get to that goal.
Yeah.
But if you build your daily habits around who you want to become, he says every day you cast a vote towards the person that you want to become. So if you want to become a healthier person, every time you put your tennis shoes on, you're saying, look, I'm casting a vote for a healthier me, right? And that just helped reframe that whole conversation for me, because I quit focusing on a number or how much weight I needed to lose or all those things. I found something that I like to do, and I started doing it more regularly. And that really has helped me. But I think one of the reasons that it's so hard for us is because we don't take that time to reflect back.
You know, one of the things I like about reflecting back is the, sometimes people have a word of the year. Now that we're at the end of this year, I actually had a word for the year. And so my word for the year was change. In fact, God actually gave me a whole phrase. It was change, experience it, lead it, and encourage it in others.
Wow.
Which was really heavy. I mean, that was like, okay, in January when he gave me that, that's a little scary, because it's like, okay, something's going to change. Obviously, something's going to change. And I have to experience it first.
Right.
Then I have to lead others through it. So it was going to be something I was going to experience change-wise. So now that we're here, I'm really excited to look back and do some reflecting and go, okay, what did change this year? And how did God lead me through that? And what is that phrase? Then unpack that phrase. You know, what changed? How did I experience change? How did I lead change? How did I encourage change in others? Yeah. And then get really excited about what words God's gonna give me this year.
Sure.
You know,
Well, so what you're talking about is like, when we reflect, we see what God did.
Right.
It's faith building.
Yeah.
So taking time to reflect is good for habits and rhythms and all of the health goals and everything, but it's also spiritually healthy.
Yeah.
Because it helps us look back and truly see what God has done, because he's been at work all year.
Yeah.
He's been working. And when we take time to see that, boy, that's going to help us in the future. So I really like that. And I love what you said also, Carol. It reminded me to celebrate the wins that we achieve. We gloss over good stuff so many times, and then we think, oh, nothing good happened. No, many good things happened.
Yeah.
So take time to celebrate the wins, even if they're little wins. They're steps toward the goal. One thing that I've kind of been thinking towards is being more present in the moment. And I heard it said, when you think too much about the future, you feel anxious. When you think too much about the past, you can feel depressed. But when you are in the moment, in the present, that is where you can find great joy. And
that's
so
good.
I think trying to, even in the dark months or the cold times or the times when the Christmas tree's already been put away, if you can be in the present and let God meet you right there, I think you're going to find a different level of joy.
That's so good. I also have, I know myself well, and I know the tendency is during those darker months to isolate. And so I'm pretty intentional about connection during that time. Whether it's having coffee with somebody I hadn't got to catch up with lately, or, sitting down and watching Elf with my kid, those kinds of things, those really moments in time that you're talking about, really being intentional about planning those, because if you don't put them on the calendar, if you don't plan them, they're not going to happen. They're not just magically appear and somebody goes, oh, I have a whole afternoon free, you want to have coffee? That never happens in my life, right? It's always, hey, what are you doing Tuesday afternoon at 2? Could you meet me for a cup of coffee? And knowing that about myself helps me not only get out of my head, it helps someone else get out of their head as well. It's mutually beneficial when you can get together with a sister in Christ and share that time together. So I try to be intentional, more so at the beginning of the year probably than I am any other time of the year, just because I know that because that my bent is to isolate and hibernate and drink my coffee and not let anybody in,
I've got two things I'm looking forward to in the new year, and one of them is very much about this. It's taking another pottery class.
Oh yeah,
and so scheduling that to start in the new year. So the new semester will start in January, and I haven't taken a class in over a year, so it's going to be such a fun thing for me to look forward to. Get back into taking an actual class of pottery. So it's schedule, like you said, scheduling those things that give you something to look forward to, that are not anxiety provoking. So I'm not taking on, the magnitude of what's the year going to be. It's just, I'm going to do something fun and get myself out of the house and do something creative with my hands. Once a week.
I have one more thing that I want to add to the conversation, because I think this is quite often one that I overlook in my life. I've said no to some things. Okay. And here's what I mean by that. I realized this past year that, like I said before, I was just living from one event to the next. Like, what have I got this week? Oh, I've got this big thing this week. Once I get through that, things are going to slow down. That's another big lie that we tell ourselves. But I realized that some things in my life were for a season, and that my time has passed with that, and that other things are increasing. And so I noticed that in my schedule for this past year, there were some things that I neglected, and I felt like God was saying, okay, you've served your time there. You can say no to some things. And it is harder for me to say no to things than it is for me to say yes.
Sure.
Are y'all that way?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So if someone asks me to do something, I automatically want to do it, because I think they thought enough of me to ask me to do it, so I ought to do it.
Yeah.
And
you're talking about like service things.
I'm talking about service things. Yeah. And so I something that I've loved for a number of years, and I just have felt like it became a burden to me this past year, and I just couldn't keep up. And I felt like God was saying at the end of the year, it's okay to say no. And that's one of those things that I don't think you get that if you don't slow down and reflect.
Yeah.
Correct. Because I had the time to just say, is this really, I'm having to get somebody to cover for me all the time, and I just don't feel like I'm giving my best to this. And I felt like God was saying it's totally okay for you to say no to something.
And there's some excitement in there that I can hear in your voice too, because there's now going to be space for either reflection, for some carol time, for some Carol and your daughter time, or there's going to be some time for God to write a new chapter in your book.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that maybe he's calling you to do something else.
Right.
Serve in a different way. And now because you've kind of stepped out of last year and into the new year, you have a new fresh kind of journal. You have a clean journal. You can look at and go, okay, God's calling me to something new. He's calling me to something different. And now I have the headspace to be able to deal with that.
But I will say that in my church experience, I've not often felt the freedom to do that.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Because I think sometimes we can guilt ourselves, or someone else can guilt us into doing things that we don't necessarily feel called to do, just because there's no one else to fill that space.
Yeah. Or you get pigeonholed. You've always been the one to do ABC, and
Just
so you're always going to be the one.
Yeah. You want to be reliable, and you want people to think nice things about you, not that.
Well, we're proud of you.
Well, thank you.
Because sometimes the best thing that you can say is no.
Yeah.
If that's not what God's calling you to do, that prayerful reflection, and then having the freedom to do that. And I'll say it's a whole lot easier to say yes after you've said no than it is to say no after you've said yes.
Yeah, that's true.
So taking the time before we commit to things just helps stave off a whole lot of problems later on.
Yeah. It was hard.
Yeah.
It was a hard fought no. But
Yeah.
after I gave it, I felt a
How'd you
sense of
feel?
I felt a sense of relief, really, because I felt like I was cheating myself. I was cheating the people that I was working with, and it became more of a chore, and it shouldn't be a chore. I had enjoyed doing it previously, but it just had become.
And
I
it's
had to,
someone else's assignment.
Yeah, I had to
where
build
they'll
myself
have
up
great
for
joy.
it.
So good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we've got to do.
Right, and give permission for each other to do that in those safe spaces. So is there anything else that you guys would say? We've talked about reflecting back's important. We've talked about setting intentions. That's important. Anything else that you would add to the conversation to help you fight off those post-Christmas winter blues?
I mean, I think one of the things that I just want to reiterate that you said is the importance of good, godly girlfriends. That spending that time being present, like you said, TK, with present in the moment. And if you couple that with some really godly women that you love spending time with, that just makes all of that so much better.
And I will say this. Sometimes asking those questions in the safety of good, godly relationships is so powerful, too, because they see things in you that you won't see in yourself.
Sure.
Like they see you handling things, or they see something that maybe you didn't necessarily, that you want to gloss over. I think it's powerful to sit with other people who know you well, who can say, hey, I saw you in this season of your life, and you could have been this way, but you were this way, and I saw your faith really grow. I think that's powerful too.
Yes,
Love that.
To sit with some of those people and ask those questions, and to say, what do you see in me? What growth have you seen in me in the last year? And really, they can help you set those intentions and hold you accountable for whatever it is that you have coming next.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd add to the conversation?
Yeah, I would say don't be afraid of those dark times. I like to avoid all that, like too much time at home or dark or cold. I'm like, but something very rich can grow when you are home, when it's dark, when it's quiet. God can speak, I think, in those times.
Sure.
And so oftentimes I will fill up my schedule to avoid being alone with my thoughts. But I can really hear God's voice in those quiet times, in the dark times, when it gets dark outside and I'm home more. And so don't be afraid of that. Set intentions, set goals, set times with girlfriends. And then when you find yourself in that quiet space, maybe that's a time to lean in and hear what God has for you.
Absolutely.
That's so good.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you, would you share it with us? We'd love to hear from you. You can always email us at girltalk@thelightfm.org. We love hearing from you. You also can text the word talk anytime to 81891 to get the latest podcast. And we've just started with brand new devotions, and you can get those. So it kind of works through the topic of whatever we're talking about. And that's available to you as well on the Facebook pages. You know where to find us. And we would love nothing more to connect with you there. And tell a girlfriend about the Girl Talk podcast. Maybe in the new year you want to share this and make this a point of discussion for you guys during the week when we release a new episode. That would tickle us to death too. And we're going to save you a seat right here around these microphones next time we gather for the next Girl Talk podcast.